What's up, guys? Welcome back for another Blacksburg Buzz. Today, we're going to talk about the Hokies win over Marshall in the first round of March Madness and then preview their game with Baylor coming up on Sunday. So, first and foremost, Hokies, they won this one really big, 92 to 49 in the first round. So, like I said, they'll move on to play Baylor on Sunday. That game is at 8 p.m. in Castle Coliseum. Story of the game, the first quarter was a bit slow early on. Tech had a tough time adjusting to Marshall's unique system that they run. It's a little different from most teams that we've played this year. So they play a lot of players and they run subs really often. Many times they'll sub out all five players on the court for five new players just to keep everyone fresh because they are playing in just such a high motion, up tempo offense and defense, and that can really wear the team down. So that kind of threw Tech off a little bit, combined with the fact that Marshall runs a full court press right from the start of the game. So facing a full court press right off the start, and then you've got just this constantly moving offense that's, taking a lot of threes and really trying to slash into the paint. That was a little tough for Tech to deal with for the first couple of minutes, just trying to break through that full court press and get quality shots. Took a little bit to get used to and adjust, but once they did, things just went crazy. I mean, the Hokies played really well overall. So after they initially broke through that press, they couldn't take a ton of shots just while they were kind of dealing with that. And Marshall wasn't really making anything. So Tech got up to a pretty significant lead in the first quarter, just, making a shot here or there while Marshall just they couldn't shoot at all. With Tech having so many, taller, bigger players and Marshall being mostly under 6 foot. They only have three players that are 6 foot plus, while Tech, almost the whole team, is over 6 feet, except for Georgia Amore for the most part. I know, Carly Wenzel's 6 foot, and I think Kayla King, Karis Baker, Matilda Eck, all of them. And then, of course, you got Clara Strack and Rose Mishaw as the two biggest Hokies playing. So, really a huge size differential that made it really tough for Marshall to both drive in the paint and make shots and shoot over top of them on the exterior with, longer arms, taller defenders. It's really tough to get threes up over anyone because they can recover a lot better from any spacing that you can break away. So Marshall couldn't really make those shots, but they did get a couple points forcing turnovers. That's another thing that they've been pretty good at, especially with that full court press, putting pressure on the opposing team's offense to, make good decisions, get across the floor really fast with that pressure on them. So they forced six turnovers in that first quarter. Five of them came in the final 2 minutes, where they were able to put up a quick 9 point swing. I think they made three threes in that time. So a quick 9 point swing, which helped them stay in the game a little bit in that first quarter. They cut the lead for the Hokies down to six. And so that kind of let Marshall stay there for a little bit longer than they normally would have because they just struggled the whole game. Clara Strack, she was phenomenal, especially in that first quarter, but the whole game all over. She had 6 points in the paint with that massive height advantage. She was playing really strong, just battling through contact and getting good quality shots up down low. It was awesome to watch her play and to try and fill Liz Kitley's shoes. She did a really great job. So moving into that second quarter, Tech really started to make a difference on the scoreboard. They really started pulling away. That 6 points became 17 by the half. They kept feeding Strack down low because they knew no one could stop her. She had at least 4 inches on the tallest Marshall player whenever they were in the game. So, with their frequent subs, you're looking at possibly 5 or 6, depending on who's in. So they kept involving Strack down low, and she was making quite a few shots. She did have a really nice block on CC Mays, which I got a fantastic picture of. I can't wait to get that edited and uploaded online. Just swatted it away on a layup. Mays kind of got past a couple defenders, and Strack with her long arms, and she just moved her feet really quick, kind of caught up behind her and swatted it down from behind. And Clara Strack also made her first three in college. They left her wide open right in front of the Marshall bench, and so she went, okay, like I'll take it. You could see she caught it. She was behind the line. She looked, and no one stepped up, and she kind of hesitated, and she went, okay, well, if you're not going to guard me, okay, I'll take a shot. Why not? She put it up, dropped it right in. It was awesome, honestly. So, Strack was a big part there, and everyone else was also getting really involved and just breaking down that pesky Marshall defense. They were making better passes and breaking through the press a lot more efficiently in the second quarter. I remember right towards the start of it when Amore was still in, she was just zipping through it all by herself. Once she got accustomed to it, it wasn't a problem for her. We saw Karis Baker. She had a little trouble with her threes. She wasn't shooting great all game, which is kind of uncharacteristic for her. In the second quarter, she missed 3 threes in, I think, 4 possessions. So she took like one, and then I think Kayla King had a layup, and then she took 2 more on subsequent possessions, and she just couldn't find the bottom of the net. It was odd to see. Usually she's, lights out. Every time she comes in off the bench, she gets a wide open 3 and she drains it. But we didn't get to see that today. She did make 4 free throws, though, in that second quarter. Kayla King made 4 free throws, too. And then Kayla King and Matilda Eck each hit a 3 in that second quarter. Really helped Tech pull away. And like I said, they led at the half by 17. Then the third quarter is where it all fell apart for the Herd. Tech just shot the lights out. It was ridiculous. They had already been shooting pretty good all game. 59% from the field and 44% from 3. So those are both really good numbers. You would be happy with that for a game. You would not complain. But then that third quarter, they absolutely brought the mad into March Madness. 71% from the field and 63% from 3. They made 5 of 8 3-pointers. Just a ridiculous quarter. And, while Tech just shot the lights out, Marshall's shooting, which was already poor this game with, the Hokies' really tough, tall, long defense, Marshall's shooting fell off a cliff. They had only made 3 of their previous 19 3-point attempts, but in the third, they went 0 for 7. They were also 21% from the field. They only scored 9 points over the 10-minute third quarter. Meanwhile, the Hokies scored 36. Absolutely ridiculous quarter for them. I think that's one of the highest they've had all year, and it comes in the NCAA tournament. That's crazy to think, and it comes without Liz Kitley. So the third quarter, Tech goes crazy. They hit 4 shots pretty early in that quarter, 3 from behind the arc, and then they forced this really early timeout from Marshall. It was about 3 minutes into the second half. You do not want to be using your timeouts then. If you know basketball strategy, you'd much rather save them late where you can stop the clock and such. But they just really had to kill that momentum. There was nothing they could do. And just taking a break and resettling themselves was definitely necessary at this point in the game. So 2 of those threes were from Eck, and then Amore made 1, and Wenzel had a shot in the paint. So that was those 4 buckets to start the second half. Keep in mind, they did most of this without Georgia Amore. This 36-point third quarter was mostly without her. So she didn't play in the second. And then in the third, after the 7-minute mark, she was on the bench. So she only played the first 3 minutes of the second half, and then she played some more in the fourth quarter. We really saw, Brooks ease up on Amore's workload, and I totally get it. She's your star right now with Kitley out, and I'll talk a little bit more about her injury, but with Kitley out for the tournament, Amore is really your one star left. You've got tons of amazing pieces around her, but she's your star. And, the tournament is really tough. The Hokies played Friday night. Now they'll have to play Sunday night again. If they win, they'll play like sometime between like Monday and Thursday again. So just with so many games so close together, it's really tough on players. And seeing this lead, I totally understand why Brooks would say, let's ease up on Amore's workload. Let's let her stay as fresh as possible, win this game, put on a fantastic show for the Hokies fans at home, but win this game and make sure that she's fresh for next game because Baylor is going to be a lot harder. And if we beat Baylor, you're going to want her fresh for the next game because, lose and that's it for the year. So Amore only played 3 minutes in that third quarter, like the first 3 minutes. She didn't play in the second quarter. I think she only had 19 minutes in the game total. We normally see her somewhere in the realm of like 35 to 40. So 19 is definitely a great number to keep her fresh. And I think that's going to be really important for Tech down the stretch this year. So they do this 36-point third quarter mostly without Georgia Amore, and that gives me a lot of hope for this team, seeing that, while they did have, I think, a strong matchup with Marshall because they controlled the game and played it the way they wanted to play, and, they had a really good matchup for that. And I think that the fact that Tech was really able to show their stuff without their star on the floor for so many minutes gives me a lot of hope because we've seen that, sometimes when Amore's not there, that things sort of fall apart a little bit. She's really the one that moves the ball the best and, gets the offense flowing. And it kind of all operates through her. So when she's not there, you see a very different version of the Hokies offense, but they definitely made it work in this one. And so I think that's going to be really good, especially in the future where, we're not going to have Georgia Amore forever. So going into the future, we'll see what happens with her next year. We don't really know yet. But looking ahead and seeing, Wenzel, Eck, Karis Baker, Clara Strack. I mean, this team has a lot of good pieces, and they could still be a really, really top tier squad without her and Kitley on the floor. So third quarter, just wow. And then Matilda Eck was ridiculous. She just went bonkers, honestly. She was 3 of 4 from deep. She had 13 in the third quarter alone. She was really putting up the numbers, and she'd been struggling in previous games. I think she had 0 points in like the last 3 or so, really struggling to shoot, and to come back in such a dominant fashion. She just exploded back. Fantastic bounce back game from her at the most important time of the season. Really, really happy with her performance on Friday night. Fourth quarter, once it came around, you already knew the game was over. Tech was up by 44 and leading by 44 when Marshall hasn't even scored 44 points. I mean, you knew this game was over. I think they hit 80 at the very beginning of the fourth. And if you know Castle Coliseum, When the Hokies score 75, everyone gets bojangles, and they hit 75 in the third quarter. Normally, when they do it, it's at least after like the 5 minute mark in the fourth for the most part, but they did this in the third. So, I mean, you knew this one was done. Amore came back for a couple minutes there in the fourth quarter. She hit a fast break shot and then assisted Kayla King on a three and then got a block. So a really, really nice like 3 play stretch from her. Awesome. Hokies made a couple more buckets in that fourth. They did kind of let off a little bit, but I mean, they were up by over 40. Ended up winning the game by 43 with 92 total. Marshall, they only had one player in double figures. It was Abby Beeman. She had 12 points, 5 boards, and 4 assists. Like I said, they just couldn't find good shots. And when they had them, they weren't sinking them. So their, 3 heavy offense didn't really work well against Tech. We saw in their Sun Belt Championship game, they took, I think it was 46 threes, and they made 8 of them. They did end up winning that game, but they forced 20 turnovers. This one, just with a better team, it was just too much for them. For the Hokies, Matilda Eck led with 21 points. She hit 5 of 7 from 3 point. As I said before, just a wonderful bounce back game for her. We knew that, her precision shooting and accuracy from behind the arc, and then, just that mid range, but mainly from deep. We call her the X factor for a reason. If she was going to be successful this year, you knew the Hokies were going to be successful in the spring. And man, did she deliver in this one with those 5 threes. She was awesome as just coming back from all that. Clara Strack followed up with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 1 steal. She filled Liz Kitley's shoes amazingly, especially for a freshman. They are very big shoes to fill. 3-time ACC Player of the Year. I think she was AP All American this year as well, has been before. Just her tournament performance in what I believe is her first start in college was fantastic. She was perfect from the field and only missed 2 free throws. Her height in the paint, it made just a humongous difference on both ends of the floor. That presence in the paint with, her height, her length, her ability to score on the offensive end and battle through contact and, just pound it down low. And then on defense, with her 4 blocks and 1 steal, she just has great hands down low, really solid at protecting the rim, and she's pretty mobile for someone that tall. So she gets moving really well. And with that height and length, it's just a great combo defensively for her to just get some nasty swats. Carly Wenzel had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. She played a lot more minutes than we typically see her, with Georgia Amore sitting on the bench so much more than usual. And so I'm really impressed with Wenzel's development this year. I expect her to start in the future and be a key piece of this Hokies team. Her defense is rock solid, and we've really seen her offense take a step up over the course of the year. It was kind of hard for her to make shots early on, but as we've moved through the season, she's kind of found the flow and gotten her shot back. We knew she was a really good scorer in high school, but she kind of found that again. And so she's just taken steps up over the course of the year, and she's going to be really good, I think, as a nasty two-way player. She's real shifty as well. Not quite like Amore, but she's got a nice crossover and good at driving in the lane. So I think she'll be really solid with this team in the future. Kayla King, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals. King shot the ball really well this game. She made him pay for giving her a little too much open space. I think if she hadn't gotten into foul trouble, we probably could have seen 20 out of her. She did finish the game with 4 fouls, so I'd imagine she was probably just trying to ease up a little bit. And if it wasn't so much of a blowout and the Hokies were trying to push it a little bit more, I think she could have easily gone off for 20. When Kayla King is hot, she will make it rain from all over. And this is one of the games where she was definitely hot. So, really good game for her. I really hope this keeps up this next game and hopefully with more games to come. And then Rose Mishaw. She had 10 points, 4 rebounds. Really good game for her. We haven't seen a lot of Rose Mishaw since, I want to say, February or so. She didn't play too much. We saw a lot more Clara Strack instead of Mishaw, but we did see her get some minutes in the ACC tournament with Kitley out. I think she started one of those games. So having her come back, it was a really good comeback game for her. She only played 13 minutes, but 10 points, 4 rebounds. That is a nice stat line. Her physical play down low, it was perfect for Tech in this Marshall matchup where she had, that big height advantage. She's that big power player down low, and Marshall just didn't really have an answer for it. So I think she was a great person to mix into the lineup a little bit more and definitely made the herd pay. So we've been hearing a lot about Liz Kitley, and let's go ahead and talk about it. I know I put a little bit out on social media. I reposted a couple things on Twitter, but we did get official news about Liz's injury during this week, and is exactly what we feared it was. Kenny Brooks confirmed that she tore her ACL in that game. I believe it was in Charlottesville. He said that when it happened, they weren't trying to deceive us. They just wanted to protect Liz mentally. And I totally respect that. I understand that. This is a really difficult time for her, surely. She was at the game, though. She was cheering on her teammates. She seemed like she was in high spirits, especially with how well Clara Strack was playing. We know that those two are pretty close, despite, the age gap where, Strack is kind of like following in Kitley's footsteps. And so, watching almost her pupil play so well in her first tournament game, I mean, I'm sure it was amazing for her. They even had Liz put the sticker on the bracket for the Hokies to move into the next round. So it seemed like she was in high spirits, but unfortunately, we won't be seeing her back on the floor for Tech this season. It's really sad to think about. We know for certain, 100%, her jersey is going to be in the rafters one day. I don't doubt it for a second. And if it doesn't get up there, I'll make sure it gets up there myself. For Virginia Tech, women's basketball, for women's basketball as a whole, she's been an amazing figure, a role model, a leader, whatever word you want to use to describe her. That's what she's been. I wish we could see her, one more time in the tournament to make a push in a Hokies uniform, but that's just not the way it ends, unfortunately. I think all we can really do is just be glad we got to see it for 5 years in maroon and orange and appreciate the time we had with her as a player. We know that she loves Virginia Tech. She loves Coach Brooks. We know she'll be back to visit and catch some games. But it's sad to think that she won't be playing again for us. So Virginia Tech, they will be meeting up with Baylor Sunday night, 8 p.m. at Castle Coliseum. Baylor went ahead and beat Vanderbilt. This one is going to be tough, but we've certainly seen after this Marshall game, from top to bottom, this Tech lineup has the talent to do it. So be there or tune in on TV. We'll see if Tech can make it to the Sweet 16. should be electric in Castle Coliseum. It was packed for this last game, and I can't imagine it being anything short of full for this next one. There's a couple players on Baylor to watch out for before we close out this episode. There's Dre Edwards, 12 points per game, 6 rebounds, 1.6 steals. She's a 6-foot grad forward transferred from Kentucky. You've got Sarah Andrews, 11 points per game, 4 assists, 1 steal. A 5'6 senior guard, 2023 Big 12 first team, and a WBCA All American honorable mention. So Sarah Andrews has been really good this year. Definitely be on the lookout for her. We've got Dariana Little Page Buggs, 10.5 points per game and 7 rebounds. 6'1" sophomore guard slash forward. She was also a 2023 honoree as a Big 12 Freshman of the Year and made the All Freshman team for the Big 12. And then Bella Fauntleroy, a 6-foot sophomore guard forward, the 2023 Big 12 All Freshman team as well. So there's really 4 to look out for on this squad. We'll have to see how the Bears match up with the Hokies coming up on Sunday. So make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be so much fun in Blacksburg. If you're here, definitely give me a shout. I'll be at the game photographing, and maybe I'll have you with a post-game story, and I'll definitely be back on the buzz to recap for you. So tune into those and have a great weekend.